So now that I have my goggles, let's have a little dive in and see what we can find. Hello everyone, my name is Jonathan Hardy from the Cambridge Swimming Company, and welcome to our series on how to train for an English Channel swim.
I'm sure that the water won't mind if we rest here for the night and leave before sunrise.
Over the next 18 months, I'll be training to swim the English Channel in the end of July, early August of 2026. Every month, I'll document my training, talk you through why I'm doing what I'm doing, which challenges that's preparing me for, and you can see how we get on. I am an open water swimming coach. I've been a wild open water swimmer for most of my life. I don't remember learning to swim, it was before I was 3. I'm a scuba diver, a free diver, a retired Royal Naval officer, and so obviously my connection to the sea is pretty strong. So I'm not coming at this from a place of ignorance, but I've never done anything more than 14 kilometers. This is a very big step up in the challenge for me. I will be working with our coaches at the Cambridge Swimming Company, so Colin and Sophie. Sophie, who is a world record channel swimmer in her own right. In fact, I think she got 3 records for her channel swim. And I'll also be working with some coaches from the swim tribe in Dubai, which is where I am now at the moment. So obviously I'm mixing my time up between the Middle East and England, and the contrasts in temperature and conditions and environment provides a more interesting training environment, but presents its challenges along the way. So follow this journey and follow me to success, hopefully, in the English Channel Swim 2026. Now, throughout this series, I'm going to take you through the challenges of the Channel Swim itself and how I'm going to build preparing for those various challenging situations into my training over the next 18 or so months. My Channel Swim is scheduled for the end of July, early August in 2026. So it's going to be a video every month charting the training over that time, building up the distance, the temperature, preparation, and just conditioning my body, nutrition, and everything that goes into that. So for this first video, I've brought you out to the middle of the sea to talk about the challenges of any channel swim, in this case, the English Channel. First one is, I want to talk about is you're in the middle of the open ocean. So the conditions are not going to be like a swimming pool. So as you can see today, I've got the camera so I can spin you around and see what I'm looking at. It's not particularly rough. It's actually a quite nice day, but still you're going to be bouncing around quite a bit in this. I'm about 3 miles offshore probably. And the reason I've come to this particular spot is to talk about one of the other things that we will find on a channel swim. And that is other vessels in the water, in particular large tanker type ships. So again, if I spin you around, you'll see I'm now heading towards a tanker. That tanker cannot stop and it cannot turn particularly well. So anything smaller than it pretty much has to get out of its way. That includes me and the boat that's going to be escorting me across the channel. So we obviously have to go behind it. You don't want to try and run the gauntlet in front of one. Where I am now is pretty quiet. There's only this one going past. When it's just one, you can go behind it. It's very easy. When it's the English Channel, obviously there's constant traffic. It's one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world, and that's where you rely on your pilot to guide you. So onto the pilot. That's the first thing you need to do if you want to swim the English Channel, is book your pilot vessel. They get incredibly busy. I had to book mine 3 years in advance to get a first slot on my tide window. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But this is the first job you need to do. So you can either go on the Channel Swimming Association's website or the Channel Swimming and Piloting Federation website. Those are the 2 organizations that run channel swimming. And basically contact every pilot that is listed on that website and say, I'm looking to do channel swim. It'd probably be a good idea to give them a bit an idea about your swimming experience, training up to date, your pace, over an hour, so how far you expect to be able to swim in an hour, your age, that sort of thing, just so they can get a bit of an idea initially. And they will contact you saying, I've got slots available, X, Y, and Z. And they'll give you a tide window during which you might be able to swim. And I say might be able to swim because it's very weather dependent and conditions dependent. And when I do my swim, I will be traveling from the Middle East to do my swim. So realistically, I needed to have a first shot in my tide window. So the first slot of swimming. So that's why I had to book 3 years in advance. If you're willing to take a 5th slot, by slot I mean the first slot is when the weather's in your window, when the weather's nice, the first day it's nice, the first slot swims. Then the next day it's nice, the second person will swim. The third day it's nice, the third person will swim. There's no guarantee that any of the days in your weather window will be good. So if you're number 1, you have a much better chance of swimming than if you're number 5. So I wanted to be number 1. So that, anyway, gives you some idea of what you need to do when you're booking your channel swim. So you book with them, you find a pilot you like. You can get, the boats vary in facilities, some of them very basic, or not very, but relatively basic. Others, larger vessels with a galley, so kitchen on board, somewhere for your support crew to shelter. So do a bit of research about the boat as well. Everyone's requirements will be very different, and so you do your own thing. Once you've got that, the next major milestone you'll get to is your channel qualifying swim. So if you're swimming a relay, you need to do 2 hours, or this depends on which organisation you're swimming with, but the one I'm swimming with, so the Channel Swimming and Piloting Federation, 2 hours in 16 degrees or less for a relay, and 6 hours for a solo swim, and that is under channel swimming conditions. So no wetsuit, you can't touch a boat, you can't touch the ground, you can't have anyone assist you, and you're fed in the water. So you're pretty much on your own, floating in the water or swimming for that amount of time. So for me at this point, that's a long way in the future. Well, I say a long way in the future, it's next year. Scheduled in for May next year, we're going to be running a channel swimming qualifying event at Hinchingbrook Country Park. I will be coaching the first little bit of it, and I will be participating and doing my qualifying swim at the end. And our coach is Sophie, who some of you or most of you will probably know is a world record channel swimmer herself. She'll be coaching on the camp. Colin will be coaching on the camp, and Corin will be helping out as well. So there'll be the whole team will be down there, lifeguards and all, and it'll be a 4-day event. We'll be going from Thursday, Friday training sessions. Saturday will be the qualifying swim, and then the Sunday we'll talk about recovery, and we'll actually do another training swim, because it's a qualifying and training event. So you can qualify and then have a bit of training afterwards to keep you going. One of the challenges I talked about there was wildlife in the open sea. So I've come further out past the shipping lane, and I'm at about 20-25 meters depth. I'm actually between 2 shipping lanes at the moment. So there's one about a mile inshore from me, and I think about 2 miles out there's another shipping lane which they both head out towards the Musseldown Peninsula. So it's where the tankers and ships would head out off to wherever they're going in the world. So here there is nothing apart from the wildlife. So a lot of this is a mental block for people. People who don't like thinking about what's in there. I've grown up in the sea. I love the sea. I love jumping in wherever I can, but it is very important to know where you are and what sort of thing is around. So I grew up in the sea. My dad had an old fishing boat, and I've been swimming, diving, snorkeling around here most of my life. So I know that this is connected to everything, so potentially anything could be here, but you have to go on what is normally here. The worst things you get here, especially this time of year, jellyfish, you can get them, but I was swimming yesterday, did nearly 3.5k yesterday in the sea, didn't see a single jellyfish, so I don't think they're around at the moment. The sea is just cooling down, so some of the shoals of fish are coming in, so obviously the fish that eat those are coming in as well. You don't tend to see anything too big here, but obviously they could be here. You do get sea snakes. They were around about 3 months ago. There was breeding season, I think, and a bit more than that now. But again, I've been out today, haven't seen a single one, so I'm not too worried about that. And I'm only jumping in just to show you what it's like jumping in the middle of the sea when there's you can't see the bottom. So obviously, before you jump in, again, good idea to have a little check. And mainly I'm checking, are there jellyfish? I cannot see any jellyfish at the moment. What would be a good idea is if I got some goggles. Don't forget to put your ladder over the side. So now that I have my goggles, let's have a little dive in and see what we can find. As you can see, there was nothing in there. Obviously, you have to do a lot of training up to that point. So this video will be the start of my training. I've obviously not just started swimming. For those of you who are doing a channel swim and you are brand new to swimming, or not a confident swimmer or open water swimmer at the start of your journey, then it is paramount you find a coach, because there are certain little tips you'll get that you would never just think of yourself self-coaching, and someone else watching your swimming can spot areas of improvement in your technique. And that's from everyone from you guys, if you're just starting, up to Olympic swimmers. There's a reason there's very few self-coached swimmers. And I myself will not be self-coached. I was doing a lot of sessions by myself because it's you can't really expect someone to put the time in alongside you, but I have the coaches with the Cambridge Swimming Company. I do sessions with them. I also do a lot of training with the Swim Tribe Dubai, who will feature relatively heavily in these videos. At the very least, they'll be swimming alongside me because that's where I train with most. Anyway, back to the challenges of a channel swim. So we've talked about choppy conditions. Another thing to consider with choppy conditions is it's not just you in the water that needs to think about it. So you might get seasick when you're swimming. It's less likely to get seasick when you're swimming, because one of the cures for seasickness on a boat is to put the person in the water and let them float around a bit. For some reason that can equal some people out. But your support crew on the boat need to not be seasick. So their job is to support you, and it's a part of a safety role. You have the pilot on there who's piloting the boat, and by an extension of that, you through the channel. So they're navigating. Their primary considerations is navigating you through the channel. The observer is there to make sure you're observing the rules. So they're observing you, making sure you're not touching the boat, being pulled along, you haven't got fins on, that sort of thing, making sure you're complying with the rules so that it can be ratified, your swim can be ratified. Your support crew are there to support you. So your nutrition, checking that your stroke rate is staying constant, so looking for signs of hypothermia. That's what they need to do. So obviously they need to be at 100% to do that. If you've got someone on the boat who gets seasick, or if you know or is likely to get seasick, if you've ever had seasickness, you'll know you're not really capable of anything else. So it completely knocks you out. Choose your support crew very wisely. Ideally have someone who knows your swimming very well, so can see if you're struggling, because some people look like they're struggling and that's just how they swim, and some people it'll be very obvious from their stroke if they're struggling. So that's one of the things to consider. So sea conditions we've talked about. Other vessels, this big container ship or barge is getting closer to me, so we'll see the wake that develops, even moving at these slow speeds when we get there. The next major thing, and for me this is in my mind the major thing, bearing in mind I haven't done a channel swim yet, is the cold. So I am the founder and the manager of the Cambridge Swimming Company. I run the events and the overall program, and I coach as well, but I spend a lot of my time in the Middle East with my other job. So I'm back and forward a lot. So I do get back and I am able to swim in the cold during the winter in the UK. So that is a benefit compared to people who live in hot countries the whole time. So I do get a bit of exposure, but when I'm here, so like particularly today, I think the sea temperature today where I am is 31, 32 degrees, which is almost double the qualifying temperature of 16 degrees. So I'm not going to get the training in the cold that other people could. So I have to train in a cold plunge in my apartment. I get it down to 7 degrees or less, and I'll sit in there without moving for half an hour and just repeat every so often, at least 3 times a week, just so my body gets cold and is used to being cold. Obviously, when I'm swimming, I'll be generating more heat than if I'm just sat there, but I won't be swimming at 7 degrees. So that's a benefit for me. Well, benefit for me, it's one of the challenges, and if anyone's watched our videos with Alessandra about her channel swimming journey, she trained here and she did the same thing. So I haven't made that up. It's been tried and tested and worked for her very well. And the next challenge we're going to talk about is nutrition on the swim. So again, a bit of a complicated subject with this because you're swimming for a long time, so you can expect to be swimming from, the record is 8 hours something, I think nearly 9 hours is the fastest person ever. I will not be anywhere near that sort of time. So from there up to Sophie's swim, which was over 24 hours. So that's a long time to be doing any exercise, let alone swimming in the cold water. And you need to fuel your body for that. Everybody's different. And I don't know what I'm going to be doing yet. I'm going to try out various techniques or suggested nutrition plans as I go along over the next 18 months and dial in what works for me over those longer swims. The longest swim I've done so far is a 14K in a pool. I've done quite a few 10Ks in the sea, and I've had some success with my nutrition over that time, and I've had some disasters where I either got something slightly wrong or the setup of the event wasn't quite right. But on a channel swim, you control the controllables, so there's a boat with you, and the support crew you have to supply them with everything they need to give you what you need. So everything will be in my control in terms of nutrition on the channel swim. So follow this journey and follow me to success, hopefully, in the English Channel Swim 2026.
I'm sure that the water won't mind if we rest here for the night and leave before sunrise.